You guys ever watch a movie and go, wow, that's crazy, was that a true story? And they say, well, kinda, it was based off a true story. This part was fake, that part was real. Look Back is a fictional story. However, it is an allegory into the life of its author, Tatsuki Fujimoto, author of series like Chainsaw Man and Fire Punch, and it gives us a window into how he has personally dealt with tragedy. It's a story that asks us, how do you deal with failure, success, and loss? Fujimoto wrote Look Back, a short one-shot manga in 2021 to much critical acclaim, and while this was just before the popularity of his series really exploded worldwide, he was already acclaimed as a genius in panel drawing. He only has two colors to work with, black and white, but despite that, his lighting, spacing, and dynamic angling of action is so incredible that I think in the future we'll recognize him as ahead of his time. Fujimoto is an incredible manga artist with such a definitive style to his characters. They're instantly recognizable in the way that Miyazaki's or Masaaki Yuasa's characters are. The messy detailed hair, baggy eyelids, emphasis on drawing teeth, all present in Look Back. I just love when authors are unapologetically themselves in their art. All the best writers are. But it's not just the visuals where we can spot Fujimoto, but the writing. P.S. I'll try to be spoiler free. Fujimoto loves to write about tragedy, about loss. His way of defining a character's personality is by asking the question, how do you react to loss? How does loss change you? Do you change? Or are you just the same asshole you were before? These themes are all across his works. I don't come into one of his works not expecting to be hurt, right? Like, I'm a big boy. I can take it. The story of Look Back stars the main character, Fujina, right? And her journey of becoming a manga artist. By the way, I never claimed I was making an incredible revelation, a mind-blowing discovery, when I said this is an allegory into his life. Okay, I was just stating it was true. It's made obvious for anyone paying attention that Fujina is some sort of representation of the author. And we follow a really cute story about two artists, Fujina and Kyomoto, who are rivaling to be the best in school. At least, that's what Fujina thinks. In reality, Kyomoto drew art never as her rival, she only wanted to be her friend. And it's across the plane of a concealed door that they interact for the first time. Fujimoto loves the symbolism of a door. It kind of goes like this. A door is a barrier. It's a choice. There's two sides, and while you're on one side, you have the chance to open the door and see the other side. But by doing so, you permanently change the reality on both, which would have been unchanged had you not decided to open the door. It's like a combination of Schrodinger's cat and that idiom, when one door closes, another door opens. It reflects themes of progressing through life, regret, contemplation, and they're what Look Back is all about. Chainsaw Man's first scene is Denji looking at a door. It's a recurring theme throughout the story representing the trauma of his life that he's locked behind it. It's here that Fujina accidentally slips a comic mocking Kyomoto underneath, making Kyomoto decide to open the door, meet her idol Fujina, and changing her life forever. And the story follows the two of them growing up together and becoming artists. Studio Durian did a phenomenal job with this adaptation. See, in the manga, there's not a ton of action scenes or physical gags. Hell, there's not even that much motion in general. It's a lot of still shots. So many people thought when this was announced to be an anime, hey, how are you even gonna animate this? What is there to animate? And luckily for us, Studio Durian didn't take this question and, decide to completely change the tone of the movie. It is very still at points. It takes its time, but I think it is wonderful visually. It's a very faithful adaptation that allows the manga's smart camera angle choices to do the work, while using really good 2D animation fundamentals to bring these characters to life, to contrast the still scenes with some really pretty sequences. My favorite shot in the movie is when Fujina is running through the rain, and you can feel her imbalance across the wet road as her shoes splash in the puddles. You know, it's actually extremely difficult to animate feet touching the ground, like literally animating people running, because it's hard to balance the background with the motion of the characters. They do a really good job. It's such a satisfying piece of art to witness, and it helps highlight the sound design as well. The animation medium helps contrast the manga drawing scenes way better than, I don't know, reading a manga about someone reading a manga. If I had to criticize the story, I wish there were more manga strip scenes, because they're some of the best in the first half of the movie. Alright, time for getting into the meat of the story. Spoilers from here on out. The movie isn't just an allegory into how Fujimoto became an artist. No, it's about tragedy. It's about someone he lost. It's about losing someone in general. Now, we don't know who that is, and really that's none of our business, so I'm not going to try to name names. But 2 years before the manga was released, the Kyoto Animation arson attack killed 36 people. And I just can't help but think that this story has something to do with that in some way. Kyomoto suddenly dies. Honestly, when I was first watching the movie, I was dreading that one of the characters would be written off and this light-hearted story would turn heavy. But where Fujimoto takes this story is what Look Back is all about. The door. Fujina returns to the door where she met her best friend for the first time, and we see a reality where her cries and grief are realized, where she never meets Kyomoto in the first place, and ironically they end up meeting anyways down the line. Was it all in her imagination? Was it a real parallel universe that only the audience could see and not Fujina? This is what the symbol of the door does for Fujimoto's writing. The door gave his characters two different paths to go down in life. And unwillingly, his protagonist, the character who damn near shares the same name as him, picked the wrong one. And she's only left there to imagine what would have been if she chose differently. And this theme of regret, of going through life, not knowing what the right choice is something that is constantly contemplated by characters throughout the second half of the film. And it's here where the film gets its title, Look Back, as Fujina looks across her shoulder to remember the first moment she ever met Kyomoto, the jacket she signed, her first ever fan, her best friend, as she looks back into the past, in a moment that perhaps allows her to realize, well, maybe it wasn't the wrong choice after all. So how does Fujimoto answer this question? How do you deal with loss? You don't. You just keep moving forward, I suppose. There is no happy ending to the story. It just ends. And no amount of manga you draw, or money you make, or worldwide fame you accumulate will ever bring back the people you lost. But what you can do is never forget them. What you can do is draw a representation of what they meant to your life and give the emotions and experiences they gave you a new life of their own. Now, this is just my interpretation, so feel free to disagree, but I believe that whoever Fujimoto may have dedicated this manga to, even if it was an individual person or not, they live on through this art. Their impact on his life is now cemented in the great accumulation of human art for all of us to experience. And I think that's quite a beautiful tribute for him to do. And it's why he is and always will be a legend in his field of art. I just vainly, impossibly wish that whoever this was dedicated to could have been here to see it. Well, that was a little depressing. Sorry, but sometimes tributes are bittersweet. Studio Durian did a phenomenal job with this film. I watched the post-movie interviews, and apparently this was the voice acting debut for both the voices of Kyomoto and Fujina? That being Yumi Kawai and Mizuki Yoshida? That's incredible! And I only hope for more success to come in their acting careers. So while it wasn't the happiest ending, as is such in life, I'm glad I watched this with my family, and I thank you for sticking around to the end. Thanks, I'll hopefully see you next time, and bye!